Do 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 do. And we're live. Cool.
Cool beans.
Cool.
Let me flip over here to comments so I can see. Okay.
Got everything?
Hey, anybody that might be out there hanging out. Steven, if you are out there, instant message me on Twitter real quick. Because there was something I was going to ask her. What was I going to ask about?
Some message or something.
Oh, the other one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the other. Yeah.
You're the super organized one of us. And
I am tonight. Yeah,
I was like, you were writing down stuff. I'm like, do I need to start putting show notes together?
Oh, I had a list of things as I was reading and making notes. It's like, oh yeah, let's see if we're going to do that, and read a comment. Oh yeah, see if we're going to do that. We got to do that. Okay, and yeah, I was bouncing back and forth.
All right, I'm gonna start doing show notes.
Yeah,
you say that now. You're sitting there organizing.
If you want to, I don't care. I'm organized as organized as I get. I'm not uber organized to begin with, so.
Well, I don't know if I really want to, like share this with everybody who's listening, and watching us on the YouTube. But Chris does not prepare for anything other than read his comics.
Well, I mean, hey, that's
I do it on the fly.
We are garage banding this. Hey, Steven, instant message me on Twitter real quick, man. I got a question for you. Or actually, check your Twitter because I'll ask you there.
Yep. Let me do the thing I was going to do real quick, and then we will. Well, I was just going to let everybody know that we were live.
Oh, okay.
I want to retweet that real quick. But then we can get the show rolling. Hi everyone, we're live. Come on and hang out with us. I don't know. Like I want to do something crazy stupid. All right, here we go.
Because we're two wild and crazy guys.
Exactly.
See who recognizes that.
I really wish the chat delay was not as much as it is. Yeah. Like I understand there being a delay just because it's transferring from StreamYard to YouTube or whatever the reason.
You would think like a second to go from here to this to that. Yeah, but it's like, no, it's like 20 seconds. I could almost walk there.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So, yep. Steven, just to let you know, I did listen to the first episode of the Secret Superman show.
Superman Super Show.
my brain just went
super secret man bat. No, not Batman. That's somebody else.
My brain just was like firing off things like
yep, you're like
broken spark plug. I was like,
in there somewhere.
I don't know what I'm trying to say, but yeah, that was close. Thanks, I appreciate it. But yeah, so listen to it. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to checking out the second episode. I was going to listen to it today. I ended up being in too many meetings, so I didn't even put my headsets on to listen to music until maybe 4:30.
Yikes!
Yeah, and even then I had to take them off because more people called me one right after the other. So it was a busy day. I like those days. It keeps me on my toes. All right, we ready to get this ball rolling? Episode 37.
Yes,
all right.
I keep getting news updates on my iPad about the NFL draft.
Is that tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, we need to cancel the show. We need to do. No, I'm just kidding. I need to know what football cards for me to buy in a couple weeks.
Well, don't you have anything on your phone that can tell you?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh,
yeah, draft. I could care less about. I mean,
I would say stock up on all those Colin Kaepernick rookie cards because he's coming back.
Is he?
I don't know, but who was it? The dude that's
fine with me if he does.
That owns Vegas or something, or the head coach of Vegas said he'd be glad to take him back. He should get another chance. And I'm like, well, then, dog.
Well, then hire him. Put your money where your mouth is.
Get her done.
Jeez. Put the guy in a uniform, put him on the field, and let's go.
And that's what. Where did I see that? I read it in an article, but somebody tweeted a link to it, and then you should have seen the comments just like that. Get it done, do it. It's like, well, if put your money where your mouth is, dog.
Yeah, seriously. There are a lot of teams that have said that. They're like, oh man, he definitely deserves. Well, then shut up and like, well, I already have a quarterback.
Exactly.
That's fine. That's fine.
When I look at your roster, where's his name? Is it under K or is it under
K
or is it under? Yeah.
What's going on, Doug? Yeah,
Doug,
I definitely
and Steven.
I would definitely like to see him back on the field somewhere, even if it's just for a season or two.
I don't care one way or another. I don't like. Well, I don't agree with the way he did what he did. It's not that I don't like what he did. It's,
sure. Yeah.
And I can actually, I think, support my contention pretty well in just a couple sentences too, if somebody wanted to debate it. But my concern is, dude's been out of football for 4 seasons or maybe 5, and it's like, look, this is top tier football. You're not going to miss 4 or 5 seasons and play top tier football. Most of your top tier years are gone already. Not that he was in the prime of his career to begin with. I mean, he had 4 or 5 years under his belt, didn't he?
He had a few, yeah.
So, he's looking at 8 to 10 plus years of, quote unquote experience by this point. That's kind of pushing the envelope, I think.
It's just throwing the ball, man. It's just throwing the ball.
Hey, whatever. Let him go out there. If somebody wants to pay him.
He's got an O-line that'll hold just for a couple seconds.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, good luck in finding that.
Yeah, everybody's got like 1 or 2, maybe 3 guys. They don't
all right. Let's get my bubbly here.
All right.
Bubbly.
Yeah, no, fortunately he moved on from that now. It's just the Jericho Appreciation Society.
Yeah.
It's not a little bit of the bubbly.
Blueberry pomegranate is my new favorite right now.
What?
Of bubbly.
Oh, Michael Bublé's stuff.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Bubbly. So.
What is it? Is it carbonated water?
Yeah, it's just sparkling water. That's all it is.
Sparkling water? Okay.
Yeah, I had my 1 soda for the week earlier today, and I was like, yep, it's back to water now. We don't want Chris to get too hyper. He might be a little uncontrollable. We don't want that.
There you go. I don't think I even have one a week. Your dog might.
Yeah.
To keep up with it, yeah.
All right, you ready?
All right, let's
go.
Sorry,
I think I peaked all the mics here. All right, this is episode 37, and here we go. Terry's in the house now. Everybody.
Terry Moore, shameless product placement. Oh yeah, the bubbly from
yes,
Bublé, or the bubbly.
Yes, I'm looking for some
sponsorship dollars. He's
even free drinks, man. Hey, it's YouTube. Isn't this what they do? You're supposed
he's
to
going podcast NIL. Yes.
You're supposed to go. Well, hey, not sponsored or anything, but this stuff, let me tell you how awesome it is.
There you go.
And rant for 5 minutes and then go, here's the money shot.
That's it.
So.
Oh man!
And then all of a sudden, cases of bubbly show up at my house.
What happened to our professional podcast? We get on video and it just goes to hell. Man.
I know. I apologize. I took us down this road. You just grabbed hold and said, "This is fun."
I come with notes and a list and and
you're all professional. Oh my gosh! All right. Okay. All right. Here we go.
Okay.
I really hope no one I know watches. Oh wait, everybody I know is watching me.
Well, yeah, there you go.
So,
and they'll tell everybody they know to listen.
Let's hope so. I like those numbers. Episode 37 in 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome back to Boom Addiction. This is episode number 37. I am one of your co-hosts, Chris Barton, and with me, as always, is Mr. Ed Moore. Ed, how are you, sir?
I am just excited that we're going to make some money off the show.
Make a little bubbly, a little money. Ooh-la? Never mind.
Some scratch.
Some scratch, and a little bit of that. Yes, YouTube has gone to our head, folks. We're looking to get monetized, and we want to get some ads, get some sponsorships, get some drinks in the house, whatever we want to call it. So,
I noticed here right before we started recording, Stephen asked, why are there more almonds than anything else in a can of mixed nuts? And actually, I would say there's more peanuts in a can of mixed nuts than almonds. But my answer would be whichever's cheapest, dog.
yeah, probably.
Just like a lot
Whatever
of times,
they have in abundance.
There'll be some things of cooking oil. And if you flip it around and look at the back, there's a list of like 5 or 6. It's because they don't know which one it's going to be. It's going to be whatever's cheapest at the time that they bottle, but they list them all just in case.
Yep.
And I figure the nuts are the same way.
Sounds like a plan to me. Sounds like you've canned some nuts before.
No.
Okay. Maybe not.
I'm just winging it.
You're a canless nut? Is that?
Yes, that's me. These nuts. That's it.
So I went into a grocery store yesterday and found a big bag of peanuts sitting there in the produce and vegetable area, whatnot. And on the bag, it was labeled hot nuts. And 12-year-old side of my brain was like, "Oh, I should really take a picture of this and put it on social media." Ha 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 ha.
Yes.
I didn't do that.
Oh,
I did tell my wife about it when I got home, and her reaction was, the people looking at the security cameras are like, "Oh, there's another guy walking in, going to take a picture of the hot nuts." It's like, probably.
That's why they put it there. They got
why they put it right.
Somebody ran out and put it right in front of the camera.
Yeah. That's what happens.
Let's see who we can get to stop today.
Yeah. So, speaking of hot nuts, let's talk about Final Order Cutoff. That's a segue,
all right?
That was a good segue. We'll do that in post. We'll fix that in
Fluid.
Post.
That's a money maker there.
All right, let me share the screen. Oh, am I sharing? Did I? Oh, there we go. Nope, that's not it. There we go.
I was gonna say, and you're on and bumped me. Okay.
I was, sorry about you. Little priority here.
Yeah, there you go.
Who's driving this ship? No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I don't even like that. Oh, that's even better. That's what we should have done. If you're watching us on YouTube, you know what's going on. If you're listening to us on the podcast, Chris is messing around with our video screen alignment, where both Ed and I's floating heads are moving around the screen while I try and share the Final Order Cutoff webpage for everybody who's watching on YouTube. So I apologize for all of that.
Is that the right date?
That is the previews. I apologize. We'll get to previews a little bit later. Sorry about that. You're right.
I'm like, wait, those books are completely different. What?
That's a lot of books.
How is it Final Order? What?
Yeah. When did that get previewed? So apologize. I was doing other things while we were talking, and voila, here's where we are. So, all right. So, Final Order Cutoff, as always, if you've been a long time listener of the show, is an important date. It is on Monday, May 2nd. It changes every week to that following Monday. So check with your local comic shop when they do submit their final orders, because it might be before Monday. They're dealing with DC. DC usually likes, or whoever their distributor is, I forget who it is now, usually likes their stuff on Sundays. So they might do everything on Sunday, might do everything on Saturday. So just check with your LCS and let them know that you're going to be putting in stuff. That's just the way it is. So not a lot of books from Boom for FOC, which is kind of ebbs and flows. There's we get sort of a slow, not a slow week, but just not a lot of books that week, and this just happens to be one of those. All new Firefly number 4. So we've got a cover A and a cover B for that. We have Killer Affairs of the State number 4 of 6 with only one cover. And I'm looking over, I think with issue 3 that there was 2 covers, so there may be a second cover that's coming along. Kind of keep an eye on that. Magic Hidden Planeswalker number 204. There's an A and a B and a connecting C. So I need to go back and look at the connecting first issue.
Yeah, I
Even
was
the
going to say, I
third.
guess the C's are going to be all connecting, I guess is what that
Yeah,
means.
that'd be kind of neat. See what that looks like, and once it's all put together. Since it's just a 4-issue miniseries, I thought it was a 5-issue miniseries last week when we talked about it, but apparently it's only 4. Then we have Power Rangers Universe, the last issue of that miniseries. There's an A and there's an F. So if you know, like we know, there are a couple letters, or not just a couple. There's more than there's a lot in between A and F. So I do want to say that is a nice looking cover. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, that style, that's one of the styles of their covers lately, and I like those. Yeah.
Yeah. So good stuff there. But then you also get the just the classic Dan Mora cover, because they've done the color cover for each of the issues. So
Yep.
So those are pretty neat as well. So, but then there's going to be a few other covers in between there. So we'll check those out when they come out. So that's cool. So that's it. That's all there is for FOC. Just those books. So again, final orders are due on the 2nd of May, which is next Monday. But again, check with your LCS. Make sure you know when they submit their order, so you're on top of that. So we'll quickly jump over to books that are coming out next week because that's the thing we do. You want to cover those real quick?
Sure thing. Flippity flippity. Let me get it going here.
Oh, I'm
Caught
sorry.
me off guard. That's all right. I had it up, but I flipped to an email that we were discussing.
Yes. We'll get to that later.
Okay. Next week, Dune: The Waters of Canley. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 covers there, A through F. Christian Ward Virgin variant. Christian Ward is the A cover, so chances are that is going to be what that one is, just a Virgin with no
Yeah,
logos.
I was going to pull that one up. Yeah, so it's this one. So I do enjoy Christian Ward's art. I've been a big fan of his for quite some time, and he just his style gets altered. It sort of evolves or has been evolving over the years, so it's been really fun to watch.
All right. We also will have Jim Henson's The Storyteller Shapeshifter 3 of 6, I believe. 3 covers there. Magic issue 14 of, I don't know however many they're going to put out there. Although they're going to be whatever it is to take them to 100 at least. So that's another, 4 or 5 issues? Right? Because it was 18 issues between the 2 books. So this one will go at least to probably 19 or 20, if nothing else.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 covers there with a B1 and B2. Why do they do that?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't understand that when you said that, and it might be.
Why not just make it a C cover? The next letter. I mean, and there's other places that do that. Letter number, and I'm like, why not just make it the next letter? Why
that doesn't make any sense.
What else we got? We have Once in Future issue 25, which is that going to be the next break? No, maybe not, because it just will have restarted, didn't it? Yeah. 2, 4, 5 covers there, and don't forget the Once in Future Deluxe Slipcase Edition Volume 1 hardcover Wave 2,
known as second print.
Yes, but it's not. It's
not.
Print.
Yes.
But it's a second print of the first print. It's however you want to justify it, whatever. It can be a first print. It can be a second print. You call it whatever you want to call it. So
I'm going to be over there.
Just, don't call me late for dinner. That's all. And so that's pretty much it. What's that? Four different titles coming out next week, looks like.
Yep. We'll have plenty to talk about. Oh, won't have. We'll talk about that at the end of the show.
Yes.
Next week's schedule is gonna be a little strange. So not strange. It'll be different. It'll be fun.
Different.
It'll be exciting. So, all right, but because of things shifting in our schedules and whatnot, we sort of like, when are we going to talk about previews? Next week would probably have been the best time to do it, just as far as timing goes with previews and whatnot. But there's going to be a scheduling issue, so we're not going to do that. So we're going to cram it into this episode, which is fun because I love previews. I love talking about all the new books and everything. So
It is my favorite comic adjacent publication.
there you go.
Monthly
Yeah.
publication.
So these are the books that are going to be coming out in July and beyond, according to the website here. And this is previewsworld.com if you're curious where I'm looking at all this stuff. So, so we get the Hollow original graphic novel, both the hardcover and the trade paperback, or the hardcover and the softcover, depending on how you want to word it. So I think that is interesting for the two of them to come out in the same month.
Yeah, yeah.
And it could be just sort of how they want to distribute it to bookstores and stuff, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
And this is by the same folks that did Lumberjanes. So I'm particularly looking forward to it because of that.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, Shannon Waters.
Yeah, Lumberjanes rocked.
I totally agree. So we also get Something is Killing the Children, number 25. I think this is the last issue of this particular story arc.
Oh, is it? I thought they just restarted.
Well, I think this story arc, at least maybe not this issue, maybe 26 is it.
Okay.
But yeah, I read something, again, it may be for 26, but it seemed like the story arc was much shorter. And it could
Okay.
just be sort of a one thing leading to another thing, because we'll talk about issue 22 tonight. And there were some interesting events in that issue that make me believe that there's a much bigger story, not just going from monster to monster kind of thing. Depending on how you want to look at it, it could be monster to monster. But yeah, so we'll see. I do want to say, as far as the cover A goes, it's a wraparound cover, and so that is pretty nice. I'm looking forward to picking that one up. So that'll be sweet. But then we get our regular die cut mask covers and stuff like that, which I've been collecting with this new story arc, which has been fun. Fun for me, I guess.
There's a cover for it here on the previews excerpt that they emailed us that is not on this previews.
Yes.
That you're looking at here.
Yeah.
It's that jokery kind of looking half mask with the holding like something in her hand, and she's.
Oh yeah, and I don't have those quickly available for me.
Yeah, it's a pretty.
But you're right. Yeah. And they've been getting some pretty interesting artists on board doing these covers and stuff like that. It's been fun.
Yeah. I wonder what the direction is given that leads to some of these covers, if any.
I don't know. So we get an Angel trade. Soon as I saw this Basilisk number 9,
yes,
I quickly tweeted or messaged Ed and went, "Hey, look, it's coming back."
Yep, Basilisk is back.
So I'm pretty stoked about that. I don't remember. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about how long a story arc is or whatever. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting. So I'm super excited to see that. Obviously, Cullen Bunn is back because he's writing it, and Jonas Scharf is back to doing the art. So that's great. I'm just super excited for that. We get the Berserker trade out, and then Flavor Girls is a new book, new miniseries, and this is going to be from Archaea. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to check out when that comes out. So we get down to Grimm, which I think the first issue's out in 2 weeks. So we'll be talking about that when that comes out. And then Alice Ever After if you were checking out stuff, was it last? Did we talk about it last week, or maybe just on Twitter that that they got Adam Hughes to do a cover, a
I think
variant
we were
cover.
just talking on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be pretty sweet. I've hopefully got enough of those ordered. But then the rest of it's kind of we get a Buckhead's trade paperback, which is cool. If you missed out on that miniseries, you can check it out there.
Okay, you're going to just completely skip over the two biggies, huh? Okay, I'll jump in the breach there.
Hold on, what did I
Uh,
skip
uh,
over?
the Something is Killing the Children
Oh,
bandana.
I hadn't got
Oh,
down there yet.
okay,
I'm
all right,
scrolling through, letting the viewers watch a little bit too. Yeah, no. No,
okay.
we got more to go. Don't worry. I was it's kind of burying the lead here. I don't want anybody
Yeah,
to get too.
wow,
Well, it's
yeah.
a
Don't get
lot
too
of the
comfortable and
same
cut
old.
out.
Yeah, a lot of same old here. You know, cool stuff like Faithless and House of Slaughter, and whatnot. Yeah, but
Oh,
Ed is correct. Once you get down a little further down in the listing here, and that we get this first, which is the Once and Future Grail pack,
Grail pack
which is
of the
much like
first,
the
what is it,
Slaughter
6 issues?
pack.
Yeah.
Yes. So much like the Slaughter pack for Something is Killing the Children, Boom has decided to dive into this using the Grail pack as their go-to for Once and Future. So yeah, the first 6 issues will be in this pack, $40, much like Something is Killing. The difference between this is Something is Killing had David Mack doing all the covers, and it looks like you don't know from the solicitation, but Ed had done a little research. It's going to be um, a variety of artists
Yeah.
providing it. We don't know who and how many, if each cover will be done by somebody new or whatever, but we do know that that we're getting at least this pack of them. So those will be
So
ordered for Chris.
if we extrapolate 6 in the first pack,
Right.
3 packs would be 18.
Hmm.
But that's not really anywhere near what they're at. So there's going to be 4 packs of these because that would take us to
Yes,
24.
I don't know what they're going to do
25
because
was where the next chapter started. So,
yeah,
hmm,
maybe. So we'll see. The thing is with like if you look at Once and Future, like the first issue had 8 printings. And um so this will be technically the 9th printing for the first issue. So that'll be insanity.
the ninth printing, but I mean, that first printing had what, 25, 30 variants?
For the first issue of Once and Future?
Yeah,
No.
for the first issue.
No,
Not that much?
it had like a handful. Now
Oh,
there
I
were
thought
some
it was
store
crazy
variants.
numbers.
There were some
Okay.
store variants and stuff like that that were like they were all kind of like the same cover, but some of them were black and white, some of them were red.
Okay.
Hold on a second, I'm trying to pull it up real quick because um, Once and Future. I am on leagueofcomicgeeks.com if anyone is curious on what I am looking at. This is one of my go-to websites. Um, so yeah, so as far as the first issue, and this
Well, that's
goes
not as
in,
many as I thought.
yeah, this is in order of like when it got released. So yeah, this is first issue, and then yeah, there's a Forbidden Planets variant, so that's a store variant.
Okay.
That's a store variant. I have never seen this cover in person. I've seen all of these except for this one, and it makes me very. But and this is a Comic Hub exclusive, so technically it's a store one. This is a San Diego Comic Con one, and then this is an Ultimate Comics. So I actually was able to buy, one because I actually go to Ultimate Comics. So spent a little more on that one than I felt like I should have because they were selling for like $20. But
Oh,
at the time, I was like, "Oh my God, I want some Future," and I still kind of am that way. I still love that book. But yeah, so as far as the variant covers for Once and Future, it really was the printings. There's a second,
okay.
third, fourth, it goes all the way up to 8 printings. Now, once they got into the second issue, yeah, they started to expand a little bit, but they still had multiple printings and stuff like that. So they really weren't cranking out variant covers for that. And I think they really didn't start. I don't really know what actual issue, but even like now, it'll vary from an A and a B cover to like an A cover and a 1 in 10. And
Okay.
then it might be a 1 in 25 that goes with it too. So it'll be 3 or 4. So it kind of depends on the issue and just what the creative team wants to do.
I guess I was just remembering all the heat that it got, and I assumed that it was being helped by multiple covers.
Oh no,
Multiple covers.
it was much like Something Is Killing. It just was a groundswell.
It was just the
Shortly
heat.
after that came out. Yeah, it earned it legitly. So. So I'm looking forward to checking out that, and once we get some reveals of who the artists are that are working on those, I'm very curious to see that list. So also we get Something Is Killing the Children trades, which is good. More printings of that, and then we finally get to where we can actually buy it. Something Is Killing the Children bandit. Now, Boom has supplied, as far as I can tell, like retailers and stuff like that with these masks, or some, something or another. $20 mask? Yeah, that's expensive.
I want a scarlet mask, anyways.
But yeah, for sure. I want a green one too. I want one of you. I want it like the green. I want it like the lanterns.
rings.
I want
like
all
the rings.
colors.
Yep.
That would be sweet. Yeah.
Put
Get
them
right
in their
on
own display box on your wall.
If Boom sent me one of each of the houses, I would wear one every episode. Just alternate.
That would be awesome.
I would do that for sure. And then obviously we get some of our short boxes which is good. So, and then the final story arc of We Only Find Them When They're Dead. So begins with issue 12. And this is
Does it stay there?
Third and final arc.
50 years later. I read that this
week.
Yeah.
It just says that they're a flashback, and but it doesn't say in here, but I didn't know that 50 years will be interesting.
Yeah, that's what it was between the first and second chapter, apparently, also.
Oh, I didn't realize that. But yeah, so those are all the books that are coming out in July. Be sure to pick up a copy of previews to get all that, or if you're like us, digital age, their solicitations are all over the place, but make sure you get your orders in. I still go through, or at least my previews is attached to my old shop in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and so they need to have their orders in by May 26th. So check with your LCS if you're using previews to order stuff when they're gonna need to have their orders in, so you know when to get your order to them. So good stuff. All right.
Indeed.
So that is that. Now, I know prior to recording, to getting on live and whatnot, we talked about the order in which we should do things. But I feel like we need to. I feel like we need to break things up here a little bit.
There's a change coming. What is
it? There's a change to the format that you wrote down, probably in pen. Did you write it down in pen?
I write everything in pen. That's all I have.
All right. So might need to get some white out. So
okay.
We're gonna reveal to all of you that Chris is a slacker. Chris did not check the Boom Addiction Gmail account spam folder. Thankfully, I did one day, and came across our first email, and it wasn't for like an African prince. I was trying to think of the country and I couldn't remember it. But an Nigerian prince. Yes, it was none of that. So I ruined that joke. So that was fun.
That's all right.
So it was from our own prince. It was from our prince Stephen Moore. I almost said Stephen Moore. You people in your names and your whatnot. So I felt we were going to do it at the end of the show, but I felt like we needed to do it here in the middle of the show, or before we get into our books. So let's go ahead and talk. Let's read Steven's email to us. This was sent to us back on April 11th of this year. So again, I apologize for not talking about it before now. I just now know I need to look at my spam folder as well. There were no other emails from the last 30 days because, spam gets cleared out every 30 days or so, I think. So if you sent an email prior to that and I didn't read it, didn't see it, I apologize. I now know I need to look there too. So I am doing that once a week. Sorry. So it says, Dear Chris and Ed, first off, I'm loving the show. Well, thank you very much. So I don't read a full load of Boom comics, but I use your show to learn what I might want to be checking out before spending my hard-earned money on stuff. So if you're a longtime listener of Steven's podcast, he is much like my alter ego, no money fanboy. Is that what it was?
He is the low rent fanboy.
He is the low rent fanboy.
Yes.
So he has to spend his money wisely. So we take full responsibility in what we say and what we recommend here on the podcast. We will not lead you astray. So you need to stop reading all your other comics and solely read the books that we tell you to. So I think that's correct. Is that correct?
I believe
what
so.
You should do. Okay, cool. My favorite moments of your show. Excuse me. Back to the email. My favorite moments of your show are when you mention me. Well, that's very narcissistic of you, and we'll continue to do so.
Okay. As we continue to read his email.
Okay. Exactly. Yeah. But I understand that you can't do that all the time. Oh, but we try. So I continue to listen for the rest of your content. We appreciate that.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes. I'm looking forward to your next episode when you talk about Six Gun Gorilla. Hopefully, Stephen, you've had a chance to listen to it. I do think you were in the show or in the chat for a little bit for it, so hopefully you got a little bit. If not, you and all the other folks who don't get an opportunity to check us out here on YouTube can definitely download our podcast every a couple days after the live show. I used to say Friday or Saturday, but it's been Sunday lately, and I apologize. That's on me. I apologize. But yes, hopefully you've gotten a chance to download that episode and check out our comments on Six Gun Gorilla. I don't want to spoil anything, but we had a good time. Let's see, because I have read this before, I did talk about it on an episode of Just Another Fanboy, which, if you're reading this out on the show, I've made you mention both me and my podcast.
Yes,
I see what you did there.
Yeah, yes. Okay.
At least he hasn't made me say underwear yet. That's an old joke. Anyways, back to the email. Anyway, I honestly don't remember giving Six Gun Gorilla a very good review back then. So I'm hoping that your enthusiasm for the book, see, he even knew before he listened that we'd be enthusiastic, regardless of what we said. We'd be enthusiastic. That's
we talked it up enough leading up to it.
Seriously. And so hopefully your enthusiasm for the book might get me to give it another try. Well, if it did, awesome. We'd like to know what your now more matured thoughts and comments on that book would be. So be sure to either to email us. That would be great, or come join us here in the chat and let us know what you think. Well, that's all I've got, fellas. See you around on the various internet spaces. Stephen R. Or, by the way, that episode of this is not me. This is still his email. He does not know how to use PS. By the way, that episode of Just Another Fanboy, and that's the second time he's made me mention his podcast, in which I talk about Six Gun Gorilla, was episode number 29 back in October of 2019. So there you go.
And if I can interject,
sure.
Stephen has been re-releasing these episodes on his feed under Just Another Fanboy Classic. Usually he's releasing one of these older episodes a week. This week he just released episode 17. So if you don't want to hunt up the website where he may or may not have these, which I don't think he has them posted anywhere else. So in about 3 months, he'll release this one and you'll have a chance to hear his thoughts on Six Gun Gorilla as he stated them back in not October of 2019, but October of 2007. I think it was 2007.
Oh, well, he says 2019 in his email.
Yeah, he started his show in 2006, I believe. So I believe
Ah.
it should be 2007.
Okay.
Or 2 years, maybe 2008.
Those were
But
the good days. Remember those? Remember those
the
days
wild
quite
west
well.
of podcasting. Yes, indeed.
Oh my gosh! This just in, as I'm reading the emails,
Oh no.
there's a voicemail. We will not be able to play it in this episode because I don't know if it'll actually work. So,
Is that from
yes,
Steven?
that's from Steven, like
Okay.
18 minutes ago. I don't know why I didn't see it until just now.
Okay.
So yeah, we will have to do that in the next episode. I apologize, Steven. But it did not go to the junk mail. It came straight to the email. So
All right.
yay. So we will he felt the disturbance in the force and felt he needed to send that voicemail right then and there. Those may be responses to our snarky comments, but we'll have to wait
could
for
be.
an episode or two.
And the next episode won't be next week. It'll be the week after. It'll be
That's
in 2
true.
weeks.
Yep.
So,
So we've got a little something to listen to, so that'll be fine.
all right.
So yes, so you can go ahead and scratch that off. That it's not going to happen at the end of the show now. That happened in the middle of the show because Chris is on the
I'm
fly.
not scratching anything off. I just
As you hear the pin fall.
just do your stuff, man. What is that?
All right, so let's
My
talk
pen doesn't have
about
ink.
some comic books. We hadn't done that yet.
All right.
So what would you like to start us off with?
Well, as soon as I get my pen to write, because I'm taking notes.
Well, that's okay. I'm going to take a little bit of a sippy sip here on my bubbly.
Some bubbly. Let's take a look at BRZRKR.
Sweet.
Issue 8. As brought to us, created by Mr. Keanu Reeves. He of The Matrix and Johnny Mnemonic. And, ooh, boy, that was a deep cut. And many, many other movies. I think Johnny Mnemonic might have been the first movie that I saw Keanu in.
Ooh.
I'd have to check on that. And he is in my top, 3 people of the number of movies I have seen that contain him also. Not necessarily on purpose, but it just seems like a lot of stuff that he has done is stuff that I'm interested in. So, okay, moving on with, well, I messed that up, huh? It was written by Mr. Matt Kent and Keanu Reeves.
There you go.
Illustrated by Mr. Ron Garney. Colored by Bill Crabtree. Lettered by Clem Robbins with 6 credit for 6 covers here on the inside cover. And it is designed for us. The logo is designed by Michelle Ankley, and the designer overall is Grace Park. Now, we left B, or Unut, as he is, and I guess that's how you pronounce it, as he is referenced many, many times in this issue, probably more times than he has in the series up to now. So we'll definitely go forward, or at least I will, with that being his name, Unut, U-N-U-T-E, Unut. But we left him buried in the ground, remember? And he was building up to a cataclysmic release of energy, and not in a sexy kind of way either. And he does release. And not in it. Never mind, I'm going to let that go. He's being monitored by his handlers. We see, interestingly enough here, we see kind of like in the main command vehicle. They've got him buried out in the middle of the desert. It doesn't say in this issue. Chris, do you remember them saying last issue what desert it was?
No, I don't.
Okay, but it's in a vast desert.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing something that they expect is going to cause quite a bit of destruction, and so they picked a pretty desolate place to enact their experiment. But what struck me in the command vehicle, there's kind of 3 levels of command, and then we find, maybe introduced really for the first time, that there is a 4th level of command. We have and names escape me, so I apologize. I don't believe many of the names were given in this book. have to look at previous issues, but there is the suited, tied gentleman, tied as in wearing a tie, who is in charge. There is the psychiatrist slash biologist slash medical person that has been working with Unut or B. And then there is the ground troop, leader of the ground troops. So in one panel, the three different levels of of the word escapes me there. Wow. Leadership or
management.
order, management, whichever, are in that one panel. But they're watching both video and all kinds of telemetric monitors as Unut is building up this energy, and things start to decay rather rapidly above ground as the energy is starting to be released, but not like one would think. It's not initially this massive explosion of whatever this energy is, and the assumption, I would assume, is that this energy that he's releasing is supposed to be the energy that has given him his long life. So it should be, theoretically, this sort of primordial kind of where everything started kind of energy. And that's what they're wanting to tap into.
And they're in the Mojave Desert.
Mojave, okay.
I looked it up.
Did they say that in this issue, or was it a previous?
No, they said in the last issue when they first appeared in it.
Right, proposed the experiment and everything.
Yeah.
So this primordial energy is being released from him as tendrils of non-light, of darkness, of blackness, of however you want to describe it, depending on how cool a word you want to come up with. And it's spreading out and starting to tear up the earth, the ground, and it is spider webbing out, kind of like the if you think of like a piece of broken windshield or something like that, how there's the center and then it'll radiate out from that in various forms and formations. Well, one of these tendrils is very close to the command vehicle, and the main leader guy wants to actually see things, so he has a door open as he's watching this tendril approach, and I believe he purposefully opens the door for this to happen because one of the tendrils comes in.
Oh, for sure.
Well, I mean, you would think yes, because he steps aside, but with what else goes on in the book, I think that he opened the door to begin with, hoping that something like this would happen.
Yeah.
And it makes it all the way through their command vehicle and hits the female doctor, and kind of throws her around, picks her up, almost like it's a physical entity, like a tentacle of some sort. Not to be confused with the kind of tentacles that Japanese artists draw a lot about. This isn't that kind of book. This is just an energy tendril. Okay, there's a word, not a tentacle, a tendril, different T word. And then we shoot back to where Unut is under the ground, and we see a massive double bench kind of crater form, and finally this expulsion of energy, as you would think, a solid central beam just shooting up out of the ground, causing all of this destruction with these ebony tendrils of energy, also kind of a duo form energy emission. The cleanup, they take the doctor and they put her in probably a life-preserving, life-maintaining kind of case. The lead soldier and the Thai leader dude get in a chopper to go to the epicenter of this energy explosion because the crater turns out to be 2 miles wide from edge to edge. So it takes them a bit to get there. They go down to the ground. For whatever reason, the chopper doesn't land on the bottom. The crater is multi-tiered as it goes out. Also, it's not just your bottom crater to the edges and then up kind of thing. It benches down several times to get to the lowest most bench, which is the central portion, the eye, I guess, of the crater. But the chopper doesn't land there. It lands 1 or 2 benches up, and the dude's got to climb down for whatever reason, which I thought was kind of odd. But they go and they get to the box that Unut was in, which the crater, the bottom of the crater, is that portion that the crate that Unut was in would be sitting on. So everything, as he was buried, everything even with and above him was forcefully thrown out in this explosion. I thought that was kind of just an interesting way to present it. The box didn't remain partially buried or entombed in any way or anything like that. It was just the layer that it was on and everything above.
Yep.
It was just gone. And they open the experimental vault cradle test tube, and it's empty. Now, we find out a little bit later that the guy in charge kind of expected that, which I never would have foreseen that.
I was going to say, I don't understand how he's
the smartest man in the room.
Easily he is.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things here that is presented in this book that, as far as I can remember, and my memory is not the best, hasn't remotely been hinted at, much less touched before. So I'm like,
right. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, there was a lot of revealing in this issue.
Yeah. And I mean, like, well, revealing is one thing, but this is like, how did we get there?
Right.
You thought he could what? Where did you? Yeah. So
this whole time, this was your plan? Okay.
Yeah. And nobody, yeah. So we start getting a series of panels looking at, probably roughly overlooking this area where we're at in kind of an oblique view, and it's dated. This page has 5 panels, and they're dated 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 30, and 40,000 years ago. Next page, 50, 60, and then we stop there because we have an image of Unut's mother, who also had a name that I neglected to research and write down. But she is out going to the cave where she prayed for having a child way back. She mentioned that a couple times in speaking to her husband early on. And this is that scene. There's an energy tendril arcing down from wherever, and it hits her, of course, in the belly and starts the growth of an embryo. And we're told this is 80,000 years ago, which has been the standard date for Unut's age. So, okay, so that's how all of that happened. So his mother wasn't exaggerating when she said what she said about, what was it, Chris, being touched by a god or something like that, right? Because she prayed. And although here it shows, I think this is even, she's outside of the cave either before, well, no, let's see. This is her husband, and I guess this tendril goes into the cave. So she is in the cave, maybe having just prayed or something.
Yeah.
80,000, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 6.1 minutes, the energy tendril leaves. So it was, she was connected, Unut's mom was connected to whatever by this energy tendril for roughly 6 minutes. That's a very long time for her not to have been hurt by that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we get the final panel on this page is 6.2 minutes, and what it's showing, 6 minutes, 6.1 and 6.2. It's showing the recession of this. Recession, is that Is that the right word? The
Yeah,
receding
makes
of the
sense.
energy tendril, leaving leaving everything, leaving her, leaving the cave, leaving the general area. Going back into, well, now we see 90,000 years ago. It's in space. So it's in space, and it took it 10,000 years to get from outer space within the vicinity of Earth down to the surface of Earth. That sounds kind of odd to me, Chris.
It just yeah, the flashback of time made sense to me going backwards until his birth or his
Yeah,
conception,
yeah.
but
Now,
it doesn't, once we get beyond
oh, I
that,
bet I
I'm sort
know.
of, unless just
Well,
it's show because it's still hovering over the same spot. So now is that energy source having always been right there?
I,
And then so now we're looking at Earth, at 80,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, 200,000 years ago,
and
and
and we
then
see him at the
yeah,
end
and then
of it.
we see
So,
him sort of materializing as far as
so,
like a blue
and
Superman.
yes, blue electric Superman. The final panel on this page is 400,000. Okay, how
Yeah.
about this, Chris? Let's do some timey-wimey stuff. Okay,
Oh no.
are they trying to tell us that he left Earth now, went back in time, and
He's
implanted himself in his
he's the
mother's womb?
cause of his own birth.
Yes. Is that what we're trying to allude to?
I
A
think,
la Solar, Valiant, early 90s
yeah,
kind of
that's a good call.
thing?
That's a good
Is
callback.
is is that what they're trying to tell us here?
I
Because
am the way I read it, and again, just I read it once and was like, I'm a little confused, so let's go back and read it again. Maybe I missed something, and I don't think I missed anything. I think it just wasn't there.
mm,
So my understanding of this is not that he's creating himself. I think that our good doctor thought it was a possibility to recreate the energy source that gave life to him
okay.
by putting him under a certain measure of stress and whatnot, which was in the box.
Mhm.
Whatever they were doing to him as Protocol X, whatever that experiment was, and in doing so, he was taking the chance to not just because he shows in one frame he's in the box and the next frame he's gone, and
Right.
so the pressure may have dissipated him into whatever that energy source is. Like that was the plan. And now as far as, and hold on a second, I'll call, my apologies, um that it would basically allow him to, for lack of a better term, ride the lightning all the way back to his origin. And it doesn't make sense why he would go back in time, but apparently he is at least tapping into that energy source that was there all of this time. And I'm
Okay.
thinking the time periods that we're going backwards, it's not showing that he is traveling back into the past, is that energy source has always been there. We
Okay.
we as
So it's a flashback rather than
Right.
him.
We as a society, as a scientific society, have just never been able to see or measure it. Maybe we knew it was there, that kind of thing.
Right.
Because when we get to the very end of this issue, well, not the very end, but the very end of his journey, he's sort of in this energy form and it says present day. And
Right.
so I'm thinking that it's not him that's traveling back in the past. It's just showing you that this energy source has not only been there since his birth, but has always been here. Because it
Okay.
goes all the way
Yeah.
back to
Yeah.
like
I
a
could
million years in the past.
two.
So
I think the final frame says 2 million.
was it 2 million? Yeah, 2 million. Yeah, you're
Two
right.
million. Yeah. So how about this? Does that mean that Unut is not flesh and blood, but is actually an energy being, and that this just he converted to his base form and zipped off into space for right now.
It would make sense, yeah.
Well,
And
that would
that
make him invulnerable, or not invulnerable, but
it
that
would
would
make
make
him
him
immortal.
unkillable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Which
uh,
is what it is. I mean, he just regenerates himself even if he's blown up. He eventually
right.
regenerates himself. So,
So that's very much like a Dr. Solar kind of
yeah.
situation there.
Yeah.
So as the next, or the actually the final section of the story is us being revealed to, as the audience, that this gentleman in the suit and tie is not in charge. He actually has people that he is beholden to, although maybe it is a lateral kind of situation and not
Yeah,
a
I think these
vertical
are more
kind of
like the
situation
stakeholders in
between
the
the two. Yeah,
equation.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they're talking about what he's done and the fact that, by all appearances, he doesn't have anything. Well, not appearances, but he has nothing tangible for the time and money that they have expended so far, and he disagrees in that information, though not tangible, is very important also. And so they have derived much information, so much information, as a matter of fact, that they believe, and I believe that we're shown that they have the capacity after this discharge and the measuring. Ooh, I said discharge. After this discharge of energy from Unut, they have uh, been able to replicate his genome, or some semblance of his genome,
Right.
and so they have figured out how to clone him now, and he passes, the gentleman in the suit passes various tanks,
Hmm.
showing us that that is underway. And then as he is arguing or beseeching with them, we see panels showing that Unut um, was part of something 1,000,000 and 2,000,000 years ago. And then we have a double black page here of a couple word balloons that is finishing the doctor's conversation. The suit dude, horn rimmed glasses man. No, I'm kidding. That's a different mythos. And an energy nimbus that is Unut, and he's saying the word father, like what? Like God is his father, or
Yeah. I'm not
is that
sure.
kind of the illusion? I mean, 2,000,000, right? It is 2,000,000. Yeah, two
Yeah.
million years ago, under, I think, contemporary science, most of what we know was already formed by then, 2,000,000 years ago.
Hmm.
The Earth is supposed to be 4 billion, or between 4 and 5, so 2,000,000 would be nothing. But here, for him, it's total blackness, like an
Yeah.
absence of anything. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're trying to show that this force goes back to the beginning of everything, or what, because there's nothing on this page but Unut.
Yeah.
And then we see that the doctor that got hit by one of the energy
Hmm.
tendrils, one of the ebony tendrils, is in a Bacta tank here, and they're keeping her alive and running experiments, or not experiments, they're running tests on her, and she is now conscious. And when she acknowledges that the head dude in the suit is there, we see that she has opened her eyes, and they are black,
Yep.
solid black, like you will normally see in situations where someone is presented as being possessed or something
Nothing
like that.
weird
So
there.
all of that energy apparently has filled her body, and
Yep.
that's all there is. So very, to me, very different turn of events than the previous two chapters of the book, I think.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Um, it's
Well, I
gotten
mean,
it's gone
we
gone
talked
from
about last episode where it felt like we had been not treading water, but not getting very far to like all of a sudden floodgates.
right,
And
yeah, it
this
goes
felt
from
that way.
like an action adventure story with like a sense of mystery, to a hardcore science fiction
Yeah.
story, hard science fiction. So um, interesting. It definitely, my interest had kind of waned there for a couple issues. Like like you said, I thought that they were just uh, I don't know. The story was moving along, but it was almost like they were filling out. We have 5.5 books worth. We need
Right.
7 books worth. So
Yeah.
we'll, kind of situation to get us to this point, which is a kind of a high point in the storytelling, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that it will crescendo even more from here because this just leaves many questions and uh, introduces a few more questions that have to be answered in what 9, 10, 11, 12, 4 books. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and the fear of they're going to be releasing a clone army of a newt is
uh,
looming overhead.
I have no idea how you would stop 200 or 300 of him, if it
No.
if it would even be possible. I mean, we just showed that he could be dissipated, but he willingly went along with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's the thing is like how well does that stuff transfer? And the our professor guy, I think his name's Caldwell, maybe. Don't quote me on that quite yet. Um, that just popped in my head. That he is very confident in what he's telling the stakeholders, for lack of a better term for them,
what he
that
believes,
that
yeah.
what he believes is true, and
Mhm.
if it is, then oh my gosh, get ready for some craziness. And
Yeah.
then there's even not only the fetuses that are in all of these tanks, but then he's got what looks like a Frankenstein looking body parts
Mhm.
from Newt, from various missions and stuff, being merged together. That maybe he's looking for that little spark to light up that body. So
Right.
yeah, it's going to be interesting in the next couple issues to see if anything comes from all that. Which something will come from it. Just what will come from it, and then where do we go from there? So. Yeah. Is 12 issues all that we need to tell this story? Are
No.
we going to get to the end of this and go, oh, there's going to be a volume 2, or something down the road?
And it's interesting. I hadn't really thought about it before until just now as I was speaking, uh, comparing this to Solar Man of the Atom from
Hmm.
Valiant. Um, him being an immortal soldier is like Eternal Warrior. Um, Annie Anna Anna Patkin, Anna whatever the dude's name was, but the dude that was the immortal or Eternal Warrior, also from Valiant, also the
Oh,
same time
yeah.
frame.
Yep.
Uh,
Gilead? Is it Gilead?
yeah.
Yep.
Or is he the one that was with Archer? Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, I always forget
Remember?
their names. Yeah.
Yeah, the Eternal Warrior and the big dude with uh,
Archer
Archer
and
Armstrong.
Armstrong. Yeah.
Yeah, they were brothers, and actually there
Yep.
was a third brother out there too who was the
He was the
um,
Time Walker. Yeah.
yes, yeah.
It's
So,
slowly coming back to me.
yeah, sorry, we're digging about 30 years ago, so yeah, it
Exactly.
takes a minute. So okay, so back to this. So what book do you want to talk about?
Let's jump into let's do all new Firefly real quick
Okay,
because I've been enjoying the series.
yeah, I
Um,
didn't read it.
so this is written by David M. Boyer, illustrated by Jordi Perez, colored by Francesco Segala, and colored assistance with Gloria Martinelli, lettered by Jim Campbell, created by Joss Wheaton, and designer is Madison Goyette. So, um,
If I can interrupt, speaking of lettering, what was there a letterer that we wanted to make it a point to speak
oh,
about?
for sure. Yeah, and we're not actually going to mention his name in this entire episode from all the books. I did look to see. I was like, did he not letter any of these books? He's like, no,
No,
he didn't letter a
not
single
this
one of
week.
them. Of course, the week that that we can talk about it, Ed Dukeshire did not letter anything, so we can't just casually bring up his name. We're gonna have to make a point of it. But
Yeah.
today, the 28th of April, is Ed's birthday. So
So cool
big happy
beans.
birthday to Mr. Dukeshire. So I did. I mentioned a couple weeks back that I did get his Fist of Justice
Hmm.
new issue of that series. So I'm really hoping that they will be bringing out more of that, and I'm sure he's got a couple. I follow him on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. He's got a lot of different things in in the works, different projects and stuff like that. So it's really cool to see sort of the other stuff that he's doing other than lettering a lot of comics and stuff like that. And he does do a lot of lettering. So he's a busy guy, but hopefully he's been able to take some time today and chill out and have a good time with the family and friends and had a good birthday.
Alrighty, sorry about that. So back
No,
to
good
New
point.
Firefly.
So just since you didn't get a chance to read this, it is more so last issue the crew had to crash land, take a quick pit stop off at this planet, which was the planet's called Requiem, and where they landed was where a monastery is, and so the last issue was sort of about just how religion and various earth-based religions had spread throughout the galaxies, and so that was kind of a little bit of a history lesson. Some of that we knew, if you've watched the TV show, I think there was some mention of that, but definitely in the comics, there's definitely been mention of it. And well, I mean, definitely with Book, being part of the crew and everything, it was obvious that religion, earth-based religions, were all over the galaxies. So last issue, there was the monastery didn't have supplies because they had these um, thieves who would come in, steal their stuff, take it back to their base and everything like that, as they were taxing them. They were referring to themselves as tax collectors. So they go and if the monks fought back, then they would obviously shoot up the place. Monks had gotten to the point where they didn't fight back; they just handed over stuff. But when the Firefly and crew landed, they needed supplies, and they sort of said, "Hey, we don't have any because they've been taking them." And so, if you know anything about our crew of ragtag pirates, they're gonna try and help not only the monks but also help themselves. So that's kind of where this issue picks up and sort of takes kind of goes into things. They show up to um, the tax collectors hideaway and where they're storing everything. Uh, uh, they try and trick the them into giving up or handing over stuff, and nobody will get hurt, kind of thing. It's definite that the crew is outnumbered by the tax collectors and all, and one thing leads to another, and Jane shows up and it sort of causes a distraction unbeknownst to him. He was basically not lied to, but just wasn't told all the information of the mission. And he unknowingly became the distraction that they needed him to become because they knew what Jane would do. And sort of the subplot of this series so far has been about Jane, his childhood, and sort of his just overall character. And Jane has ever been a favorite character of mine because he seems very two-dimensional, and he's always been written that way. In the show, in the movie, he was portrayed that way. He was always sort of going into everything guns blazing. You could see that there was more to his character, but just it's just like it was purposely done. It wasn't that, oh, we're just gonna make him look like a battling idiot. Um, it was that there's more to him, but he doesn't know how to bring that out of himself. So we get a lot of that through the issue, and so when all is said and done, they manage to free up the supplies from the tax collector storehouse and help the monks and help themselves to stuff. Um, Jane is sort of like, you know, I'm not just this guy who's going to screw up all the time, and so he, um, there's a guy with the monks that ended up getting critically injured in the battle in the last issue, and Simon, the doctor, was trying to heal, trying to fix him and everything, and that was why they needed supplies and everything. And Jane, went to him while he's doing surgery, and just sort of slightly pleaded with him to just let him help. He's like, I don't know anything about being a doctor or anything like that, but I've got two hands that work and I just want to help. And so, the guy who is known for, going into everything guns blazing, you know, is trying to open up and sort of be more than that. And this is the beginning of that. There's obviously some childhood situations because we do get flashbacks in every issue of Jane's childhood. We don't get it for anybody else, so there's a purpose to this, and so it's been nice to kind of get sort of that. This may be some story arc for him for the first few issues of the series, and maybe we'll get that with other characters, maybe not. Maybe we'll just get a long sort of subplot of Jane, sort of coming out of his shell or whatever. But it's been good so far, and I've enjoyed it. The art in it's pretty good. um it's always nice to see an artist spend time, regardless of whether they're like a hyper detailed artist or they're sort of not as detailed. I really don't really know what a good way of saying that, or somewhere in between. That the artist is able to do really unique facial expressions and looks to characters. So each character not only looks unique like they should, but you're not going, oh, is that, I can't tell who that guy is. It's not like reading 80s Avengers and not knowing who, the difference between Steve Rogers and Hank Pym and Hawkeye and all the other blonde characters, that were in there. They all look the same. You don't get that with this, and that's I enjoy that and I appreciate that, the work that goes into it. So yeah, if you've been checking out Firefly, I mean, this is another good issue. Hopefully, you've enjoyed it. If not, if you're curious about Firefly and hadn't read the series up, the previous series, I do think that this series is a pretty good standalone, so far, and might be worth trying to jump in for these first couple issues and checking it out. So
Cool beans.
yep. All right, what you got? You can do
All
either
right.
one. I know one
Um,
might be a little wordy
we,
for you.
well, we've got two more books here
Yep.
to really talk about. One, I just want to throw out there. I am done with. I will read, but I don't think I'm going to like it. The Killer Affairs of the State.
I thought you were going to talk
And
about the other book. That was
and this comes to us from Mats. It's written by Mats, illustrated by Luc Jacquemont, translated by Edward Gauvin, lettered by Ann World Designs. Now, this is why I don't. Okay, first of all, this has got to be the wordiest daggone book I have read in I don't know how long.
oh,
Okay,
it took so
and
long.
and this is coming from someone who truly cut their teeth in comic books on Chris Claremont, who is well known for being able to write text.
Yep.
But Chris, this book, 2 whole pages, okay,
I know. I know.
initially in the book, spent on giving me the conspiracy theorist theory.
I know why it's there. I
And
mean,
I'm
the
I'm like,
issue tells you. I mean, doesn't
I
tell you
just,
why it's there, but yeah,
oh,
I get it. Yeah,
oh my goodness, and
it
it
was a
just
lot.
it went okay. The art is awesome in
Yeah,
this book.
yeah.
The artist is terrific, but I will also say this, okay? On the first, the last panel on the first page
Uh,
is a transport ship.
yep.
The first panel on the next page is a beach. The second panel on the second page is that same transport ship. Now, I ask you, what does that art have at all to do with the story?
The
They're
art,
beautiful pictures,
who knows? It's just
but
settings.
uh, but comic books is a visual
I
medium.
I
The
know.
visuals can tell the story. Those visuals in this story were absolutely pointless. They did nothing for the story. And on top of that, the words in okay, now later on in the book, our main character is drawn reading Dashiell Hammett.
Yeah,
He's reading, what is it, Red Harvest. Okay.
right on. Yeah.
I think there were as many words in this issue as there are in that novel. But I just I can't
You
I
may
can't
not be wrong.
I can't do this book anymore after this issue. I tried 3 issues in, and it's just that it's slow, it's wordy, it's beautiful to look at,
Right.
even though the pictures might not have anything to do with the story. And unfortunately, it is the technique of this writer and or artist, because
Oh
I
yeah.
have read other books from Europe
Hmm.
and I have nowhere near this kind of animosity to the design of the book. But this is just yeah,
I
I can't
will
do this one anymore.
wholeheartedly agree with you on this issue.
Ugh.
I I left it to the last book I was going to read for the show. Not for any reason other than just like I was super excited for Berserker
Yeah.
and Something is Killing, so I knew I needed to read those first. I wanted to jump into those, and then Firefly, and then I was like, all right, well, get read Killer and everything, and but I knew I also needed to. I knew from previous issues I needed to have some time to read it. So I don't think I
Hmm.
allocated enough time to it. I mean, I ended, I read the whole thing. Don't get me wrong, but at some points I was like, "What page am I on?" And it was just like, so yes, there is a lot of narration into this.
Oh man.
Um,
And
this is by far going to be a book that you were. I don't think sitting down with the collected edition in one sitting is going to be possible. Um, but that being said, the narration at the beginning of the book, or at the beginning of this issue, does reflect sort of purpose of action in the issue. But what made me laugh out loud, which is a weird thing to do with this series, even though there are funny moments, it was not a funny moment. It was more of a what was the point kind of thing. So there's so our our hit squad is trying to create a gang war, and in doing so, they went around or caused a group of folks to gather who were in one gang. They themselves, professional killers, shot them and killed them, and then staged the scene as if another gang came in, a rival gang came in and killed them. And they did a lot of discussion about perception and of changing history, or changing the scene to change the perception of what people would see afterwards, so that and it sort of reflected on what they were talking about. History books are different, because of this and this and everything. Nobody really being on the scene when certain things happen. There's a lot of guesswork and all this other stuff. They were trying to do that. They were trying to cause not only the police to not know that they were involved, but also try to get the other gang to go, oh, they took out our guys. We need to go after and get them. So in doing so, our hit squad has an inside man who kind of helped push that a little bit with the gang. But the police came in, looked at the scene, and one of the lead cops went, "This looks really suspicious. Like, this looks like this was set up for us to think something else happened." Like, literally, everything they said that they were trying to do to not make them think, they immediately thought, because they didn't the killers, the assassins didn't take into effect, hey, we're professional killers, we know how to kill someone with one bullet, a headshot, heart shot, those kind of things. And not thinking like some gang member who just knows how to pray and spray, an AK or something like that. And so it's not going to be one bullet that's going to kill you, it's going to be like the 10 bullets that hit
Right.
you. And so I laughed out loud when that cop was like, "I found this really suspicious," and I'm like, "Good, you're a good cop." You're a lot smarter than they gave you credit for. And but even he was like, "No one's going to listen to me because it's just a bunch of gang members, and they're dead, so I should just be happy that they're dead." you know which made sense. I mean, that was also kind of the thing, that they were like, well, maybe they just won't pay attention because it's just gang members. But at the same time, somebody's got the right to report. So, it was really interesting. Wordy is all get out. It wasn't interesting for you, I understand. But, you know, I like the issue. I do think it really needed an editor to really. I mean, this book is like 5 pages more than everything, and than the other books we read, but probably had about 20 times the amount of words in it.
Yeah.
And it is, I knew that before we even started this series, from previous volumes, this is what you're going to get from time to time. And we'd gotten some of it, but not this heavy. And I felt like maybe we're setting up for, for the remainder of the series. We're trying to do some setup and everything. But a lot of the sort of narration was just about events that happened in this issue. So
It, the
it needed an editor.
the volume of words isn't necessarily the issue. The what the volume of words do is kind of the issue.
Right.
And pair that with the thought in my mind that there was wasted art space,
Right.
where they could have told more of, they could have advanced the story to at least take my mind off of the volume of words.
Right.
But there were panels that, the art did absolutely nothing. And so all there was this huge balloon of blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, come on. This is what
Yes.
sells in Europe? I have a hard time believing that. Yeah, there's an audience for everything,
Well,
but
in
I'm
what
like,
I've
there can't be
go
that
ahead,
big an
sorry.
audience for this style of, and that's the thing. It's this style of comic book, of sequential art
Hmm.
product, and I'm just like, oh yeah,
What I find, what I'm going to find curious is obviously part of the reason that a new volume of this is coming out is because there's also the announcement of a Netflix, is it Netflix?
I think it's
Netflix
Netflix.
movie.
Mhm.
And I forget if it's Guy Ritchie or somebody who's directing it, but it's gonna be interesting to see, can you put together one of these 6 issue miniseries, kind of. I don't know if they're taking it directly from one of this
Right.
miniseries or not, but can you put this kind of dialogue in a movie? I mean, I don't think you're going to have the time to do it.
No.
So how, story wise or narratively wise, is it going to be
Well,
am I going to feel like I'm losing something if the movie doesn't give me 5 solid or 10 solid minutes of story of narration? No, but I am going to be curious if they're going to do it. If they're
but
actually going to
what
put it
you
in
do
there.
is you rely on the intelligence of your audience to connect the dots
Oh, for
rather
sure.
than giving all the instructions as to how to connect the dots. And that's what
Right.
this is. It's like,
It gave you the manual.
dog, I don't need you to grab my hand and lead me. If you feel that's what you need to do, that is absolutely what the artwork should do for you
Right.
as part
Yeah.
as part of this story. That's
Right.
yeah, but I just it nah, the style was just
Uh,
not something I could
I
handle.
got it.
I
It's not for everybody. It's
oh,
and this, again, I really dig the previous miniseries, and I'm enjoying this so far. But as I've said before, this was a slog to read through, and it almost made me not like the parts that I enjoyed. It was sort of in hindsight after I got through it. I didn't really enjoy it in the moment because I was like, I just need to finish reading this.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then when I thought back on it, I was like, oh, well, I enjoyed this part and I enjoyed this part. But at the same part, even though that there is, there's a scene where one gang is gunning down another one as far as like
Mhm.
action sequences go. But a lot of, I mean, 90% of this issue is talking, is narration, is politicians speaking and media speaking to one another, and cops investigating a scene, and so it's if you're looking for action, this issue was not it,
No,
not by any stretch of the imagination. um
no.
it is a beefy read. So hopefully this isn't someone's first issue checking out this
Oh
series.
wow,
you
that would be
you
rough.
you might be like, holy cow. But yeah, so I understand.
All right, man. Two books. I think I know which one you're going to talk about because you didn't get a chance to read the other one, right?
Yeah, if you want to go
Okay.
ahead and yeah,
Okay.
because and I only didn't read it because like I didn't realize it had come out. I wish I because it's a co-publishing book.
Yes. Which is Godzilla versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, issue 2, brought to us by way of Boom Studios and IDW. Ellen Bunn is the storyist. It says story by. Freddie Williams II, the artist. Andrew Dahlhaus, the colorist. Joanna Natali did letters and design for this issue. Now we are on an an Earth, which this is kind of I don't think it's our Earth either. Um, though Godzilla is on this Earth, but this is not the Earth that the Power Rangers are from. So I would suspect it's just a different Earth altogether that has the
Mhm.
Power Rangers from our Earth and Godzilla from our Earth. Yeah, so uh, I guess there's not really any need to think about that because there's not going to be any logical way to get to it other than Power Rangers went to another planet and here was Godzilla on here. They're fighting, of course. They're megazording, of course. They find out that the Megazord here doesn't do against Godzilla what the Megazord has done on their planet against the kaiju that they go up against from Rita Repulsa and some of these other big baddies. In the midst of the fight, as the Green Ranger is he doesn't form up for those of you that aren't familiar with the Power Rangers. The Green Ranger doesn't form up the Megazord. It's the other 5 colors: red, blue, yellow, pink, and black. And each of them has a different dinosaur that they employ, which they call from the sacred grid or wherever the things are. I always wondered about that when I watch it. Where was that
Where do they come
Tyrannosaurus?
from?
Yeah, that's not the point.
It's in my pocket.
Um, yeah, so they each of the Power Rangers has their own powers. They have their own weapon. they have their own Dinozord, and each iteration of the Power Rangers, the thing that they have, be it a vehicle or other kinds of animals or whatever, they each had their own name. This is the period of time where the larger vehicles were dinosaurs that they could sit in and control. All of those dinosaurs form a giant Voltron robot, for those of you that are familiar with Voltron. Same concept. Because it's all descended from the same Japanese form of fiction, tokusatsu. It's all part of that concept.
Mm-hmm.
So they form up and they fight, and they're not as successful as they thought. Off to the side is the Green Ranger, who is also on the planet with them, and he's going to help them, but he is sabotaged by Goldar, who is the chief lieutenant of the big bad for the Power Rangers team. Because if you think about it, there's two groups. There's the Power Rangers, good guys and bad guys, and there's Godzilla, good guys and bad guys. Rita Repulsa is the main bad. Goldar is her lieutenant. He ambushes the Green Ranger, takes him to Rita because Rita has this big mad on for the Green Ranger for stories beyond end. He's destined to do this and he's powerful enough to do that. And so he's always been a very major focus of not just Rita Repulsa, but of also of all the bad guys. Anytime there's a Green Ranger, you know that he is going to get the lion's share. No pun intended. No, he doesn't turn into a lion, anyways. Of the attention. So ultimately, the Power Rangers disband their Megazord because it's not working out, and then they also abandon ultimately their Dinozords because they have to uh, turn tail and run to get away from the bad guys from the Godzilla side, which are the Xiliens, 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 led by the Supreme Controller, because they attack everybody, ultimately attacking Godzilla and running Godzilla off back into the ocean. Because he came from the depths. He's 30 stories high. Godzilla's breathing fire with his head in the sky. Never mind. Some of you may recognize what that's from. Some of you may not. So now we have the Power Rangers bereft of their weapons. You know, they've set everything aside for right now. And then actually they un-Power Ranger also. They power down completely to their regular human persona to mix with the people that are on this world in this section that they thought was attacked by Godzilla. But it turns out that what happened is Godzilla was trying to protect these, we'll call them refugees. The aliens, the Supreme Controller, the Xiliens, have come to this world to take it over. And so there's a war going on between them and regular humans, with Godzilla putting himself in the middle, kind of protecting the humans. Although, if you've ever seen Godzilla movies, saying that Godzilla was on their side would be kind of a stretch of things too. So
Right. Yeah.
he kind of inserts himself there, and in general, human beings benefit, but far from entirely benefit.
Right.
So so the Zillions run Godzilla off. The Green Ranger is captured by Rita Repulsa. The other five Rangers in their human guises mix with the regular humans, find out some stuff, find out who's on what side and what's the good guys and who are the bad guys and everything. Ultimately, they decide to take the battle to the Zillions by boarding one of their crashed but not completely destroyed, like fighter ships, and going to the mothership. And so they do that. They get inside. They lay siege to the Zillions. Several of them, including the Supreme Controller, get away while the rest of the like foot soldiers are holding the Power Rangers off. In addition to Finster, Goldar, and Scorpina, who are the lieutenants of Rita Repulsa. Ultimately, the Zillions release Gigan, that to continue their attack on the human population. So when that happens, the Power Rangers decide, well, we can't try to rescue the Green Ranger or do any of this little stuff anymore. We got to go fight the big guy, the kaiju. So they form up the Megazord again and don't really have any more success against Gigan than they had against Godzilla. But just to ensure that they have little to no effect, Rita summons Eye Guy and Rhino Blaster, which the Power Rangers monsters just killed me.
Oh yeah, the
Whenever I
names are
saw 'em.
great.
Oh man. So now it's three kaiju, the Rhino Blaster, Eye Guy, and Gigan against the Power Rangers Megazord, minus the help of the Green Ranger. Now, if I recall, the Green Ranger could also summon a giant robot just by himself,
Hmm.
but he's captured by Rita right now, so he can't lend a hand. By the end of this issue, maybe he'll be able to spring himself and help, with the next issue. Plus, of course, early in the issue, Godzilla got run off, so Godzilla should be back, especially since Gigan is there. For those of you who are more familiar with Godzilla, maybe it's not coming to mind. Gigan is the big reptile-looking dude with the almost like scythe blades on his arms. Looks like he's got two scythes, kind of things. That's Gigan. And then Eye Guy and Rhino Blaster, you just have to look up. Well, Eye Guy's pretty self descriptive there just by the name. Just picture that as a kaiju. So um,
Yep.
lots of action, lots of very kinetic Freddie Williams art. Um, I made, I don't think I made this comment on this show. It was another show I was on about how, in reference to the art style of previous ages, a lot of what we get in comic books today seems to be posing. It seems to be
Right.
a
Yeah.
movement and a pose and a movement and a pose. That way, the artist can sell the original art because it's a nice big, whatever, whatever. Previous ages, the art was much more kinetic, much more flowing, always moving, always actiony, even though it was in two dimensions. You could always tell that there was movement, action, something. Freddie Williams um, captures that concept very well for this book. You've got giant monsters, so you need to show a lot of action. If for no other reason, then things are just so big, you don't want to lose the action because of the scope of what you're having to draw, what you're having to relay. Now you take the giant monsters, of course, and you also have to write about these little teeny humans that are running
Hmm.
around too. So, you've got this difference in size. So kinetic drawing, action, movement, it's essential, I think, in stories involving kaiju or giant robots for that matter. Gundam, Robotech, things like that. So Freddie Williams does the second does an excellent job, I think, of continual motion and action and twisting and twirling and uh, smoky settings and clouds to show movement through it and everything like that. That's probably the thing that really stuck with me most about this book is the kineticity. I don't know of the art that he used, very reminiscent of older ages of artwork that I've been reading recently. It struck me. Um, Godzilla, he wasn't in this one a whole lot. This was more Gigan and the Zillion peoples, which maintains that connection with the Godzilla universe. And then, but this was more Rita Repulsa and all her lieutenants and the Power Rangers. I mean, there's Rita and 4 lieutenants, so that's 5. There's 5 Power Rangers, that's 10. There's the Green Ranger, that's 11. There's 5 dinosaurs and a Megazord. So there's a lot of Power Ranger stuff to have to keep up with. But it was used enough so that keeping up with all of the Power Ranger elements, I don't think was overwhelming compared to the 3, 4, 5 Godzilla elements.
Mhm.
A nice balance of the 2 mythos there. So Cullen and Freddie Williams II, that's Cullen Bunn. I can call him Cullen because, yeah, he never
Because
listens,
you're
so he's
tight
not
like
going
that. Yeah.
to. Right, yeah. Yeah. Are doing a really good job of taking these 2 uh, universes that you would think would mesh because you've got a kaiju and you've got a giant robot, so of course but with everything else that supports these main characters, there's a lot to juggle and everything. I think everything is being handled and switched from one point of view to the other pretty effectively, pretty nicely. I'm enjoying. I am definitely enjoying this much more than Killer, but I'm enjoying this quite a bit on its own as well. So
Well, that's fine. No, I will definitely. I am going to at least one other comic shop this weekend, so I would definitely look out for this issue. I hate that I missed it when I was at the shop the other day. Um, yeah, because I really enjoyed the first issue. I thought it was a lot of
yeah,
fun,
yeah,
and had forgotten how much I enjoyed Freddie Williams's art, and so I definitely want to pick this up. And based off of what you described, definitely sounds like a lot of fun. So
it was. Yeah, it was a lot
so
of fun.
and I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna put that on my list of books to look for every issue, so I don't miss it again, so we can be sure to talk about it. So, all right, so I guess we'll wrap things up with House of Slaughter. Sorry, I had the wrong
Yes,
thing up. I had the wrong
that's
book up. Sorry. Something is killing
um,
the children. It's in the same world.
you're reading way ahead. Yeah, dude.
Something is killing the children. I I had another window open that had earlier before the show. I was trying to do some research on something. I was trying to remember where they described all of them, all of the color masks meant. What all the different groups were, and I couldn't find it, and so I just happened to have that window still open, and I clicked on it instead of my other one.
That
Um,
was what, the first or second issue of the
it's
Slaughter book,
it's not in
but
House of Slaughter. That's the thing.
I
I
thought it
that's what
was.
I thought it
They
was too, and I looked.
flashed it as a council meeting at
Yes,
the end of the second chapter of something, but I thought they didn't get into the dragon and the white mask, and I thought that was House of Slaughter that they got into that.
I must have. Maybe it was in the free comic book day issue.
Okay,
Maybe
maybe.
that's what it was. Because I don't have that on my computer. I've got that over there in the.
But yeah, they because the
Because I know it's something you and I talked about here on the
yeah,
show.
one of the end scenes of the second chapter of Something is Killing was just the panel of the council.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
saw that there were different but that was it. And we were like, oh, there's all these different.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think in the first, I would think it was the first book, but I mean, if you looked in the first book, it must be in the
Yeah.
zero
Because somebody
zero
explained to
issue.
somebody as they saw them, like the blue ones are the book, the computer guys, the tech
Right.
crew,
And
and
the white ones hunt in packs, and
right.
the
But I couldn't
green because
remember who the red ones are.
well, but
That
where they the red is different from scarlet, right? That's those are different colors, red and scarlet.
yeah.
So it's possible that it's two different colors rather than the same
Okay.
organization.
All right. Well, let's do this, and then we'll come back to that. Hold that thought.
Okay.
So this issue is part 2 of Road to Tribulation. It's written by James uh, Tinian the Fourth. Is that right now? Are we
Tiny,
Tinian?
tiny onion,
Now
tiny
you've
onion.
got me saying it different.
Yeah, I
We
don't know
used to
how it.
say it one way, and then we
Tynan.
changed Tynan.
When we interviewed him, he said Tynan.
Okay, well that's what we're doing. That's what I've
Tynan
always
is what
said
he
it.
said. So
So
now
illustrated
it's
by
Tynan.
Werther Del Dorea, colored by Mikel Muerto, lettered by End World Design, a bunch of covers, a lot of ratio covers. I was not able to pick up this week, and designer is Michelle Inkley. So last issue we were a brand new story arc. We were introduced to a uh, brand new girl who had seen all of her family, and I forget what her name is off the top of my head. I didn't write it down.
Gabrielle.
Gabrielle, who saw her entire family killed in front of her, saw the killer, which was really disturbing, and we find out in this issue why it was so disturbing. Um, and so at the end of that particular issue, Erica shows up, and um, and then our hyper potato friend in chat, Tainan, yeah, exactly. That's how I feel every time I try and say
Yeah,
anyone's name.
Jeff Smith. That's
Jeff,
I'll
yeah,
stick with that one.
yeah. But I do think you come to listen to the show because you want to see how I'm gonna butcher even the easiest names. So, but last issue, it ended with Erica showing up, and so this is we pick right up from that exact scene, and so Erica sort of introducing herself, letting Gabrielle know that she's not alone and all, very reminiscent of how this series itself started,
Mhm.
uh, and and so you kind of, I mean, at least I felt like, all right, well, she's going to say, oh, here's someone who believes me. Someone's going to understand me and sort of go into, nope, nope. Are you a cop? Are you a lawyer? Gabrielle giving her, Erica the third degree, and then immediately runs into the restaurant or bar, where everybody, is, where she had just come out of in the previous issue. Like, there's a pedophile outside, and and nobody
Yeah,
believes her, and it's just like I feel bad for her, but at the same time it's the boy who cried wolf kind of thing. I feel like she has made a big deal and about everything, or at least has, if she doesn't if she doesn't like you, she's going to insult you to the point where you're just like, you don't, either you don't care or you just don't react to her anymore.
mhm,
And so it's obvious, that she is still very traumatized by, I mean, her family was just killed in front of her, just within hours of where we are. And so you would think there's obvious, psychological damage that has caused. And so Erica is realizing that, but knowing that the information is fresh and she's trying to get it from Gabriel, and just doesn't work. So when Gabrielle goes into the restaurant to try and get somebody to come out and chase Erica off, Erica just leaves on her own. And so by the time, help, quote unquote help, gets out, Erica's long gone,
yeah, she's not there.
and it just makes it worse, for Gabrielle. So, um, and then so I think, and then, well, we'll kind of finish focusing on Erica. She poses as a reporter at the police station to get more information, look at crime scene photos, and sort of putting together her own thoughts about what's happening, keeping in mind she is now a rogue agent of the House of Slaughter.
Mhm,
She is no longer part of that group, and so while she is still a monster killer, she is no longer part of that house anymore, or part of any of that group, the whole House of Dumas. So she is completely on her own, and and so she's doing what she knows how to do. She's doing what she was trained to do. She's doing what feels natural to her, and just that's just the way it is. So she gets some information from her totem once they get to the crime scene of what's going on, um, and then she is arrested because of various other things that happen through the issue, especially with Gabrielle trying to make Erica seem to be someone that should be looked at as dangerous, just because she doesn't trust her. So so Erica gets arrested, but Erica's totem gets left behind, um, which is interesting. So we'll come back to that. The bigger thing in this particular issue is sort of the B plot that we opened the issue with is, and you're saying it's a scarlet mask.
Yes.
So we
That's
open up seeing a scene of a murder that is just gruesome.
that's
Uh,
torture. That's not just a murder.
yes,
Those people were tortured.
and but it's the thing where,
And
so are we under the impression that she did it?
yes, if
Okay.
they were tortured, it was not by a monster. Monsters, okay, a monster
Well, she
could have
does say
tortured
my
people.
rituals. Yes.
A monster could have tortured people, but not by using push pins in their lips and eyelids.
Right.
Okay, that has a distinctive human smell to it. So
Yes.
now m- I wonder if she is doing that to try to get information about the monster that she said was also there that originally she came to get. And that is her technique for getting information. Not that that excuses it, but is that
No.
what's going? Because it's an organization that hunts monsters. Are they really going to employ monsters if their chosen thing to do is to hunt monsters? I find that
Right.
a little hard to believe. So
Yeah.
there's a little bit more to it. I found it very put offish that there would be a house that used techniques in that manner.
Right.
So
And so this is the House of Cutter, is
yes,
what we're told. They are overseas of somewhere. Doesn't say where that I can recall. It's
we
but
just know
she,
they're not in the U.S.
yes, and so this woman in red who apparently is torturing folks is called upon to go to America by the House of Slaughter to hunt down a rogue agent who is Erica and to terminate her.
Right.
And so that is going to be our B plot. So Erica is now a hunted woman. Um, I I am very interested to see where this goes,
Hmm.
because we obviously get to know Erica during the entire Archer story arc. We get to know her origin shortly thereafter, and now we're into this sort of new phase of her life. We you know we don't know a whole lot about Erica, about sort of the in between of when she got inducted into the house and then where we see her at the first issue of this series.
Right. Right.
And so we don't know just sort of what her experience is with the other houses, with the other masks, or any of that. So this is definitely one that was, I don't recall being called out. If so, I couldn't figure out what the red masks were. This particular mask, the woman is not wearing a mask, but the man is wearing a mask, but he's wearing it over his eyes and his head like a uh, like a like a like a blinding mask, like a Zorro,
And he
more
has no
than,
nose.
and he has no nose. Yeah, that's true. But not over his mouth, which is where we've seen, like everyone who's part of the House of Slaughter does.
Hmm.
So, is there reason for that? Is he blind? Is he, or is this just sort of the way this House of Cutter uh, wears their mask? So maybe we'll find out. Maybe we won't. I'm not. It's not critical that I know that kind of stuff, but it definitely is interesting that it is different.
He's
So
wearing the mask Grendel style.
yes,
That's
that's it.
who
Thank you.
used to wear the mask like that, Grendel. I think Echo from Marvel did that too for a little while.
Maybe, yeah, I can't remember.
But yeah,
But
so
Grendel for
apparently
sure. Yeah.
the Scarlet Masks are the assassins for
Apparently,
the
yeah.
the monster houses, which, given the proclivities of its members, it's pretty easy to assume that they would have need of, for when monster killers go rogue. Well, how do you kill a monster killer if the monsters don't do it? Well, yeah. So
Yeah. So, and we do know that his name is Albie.
Albie.
Yeah. So she calls him Albie at the last part of their scene.
And she
So,
refers to her totem as Dolly.
yes. So, yeah, definitely interesting. But this is the one thing that you and I have been looking for. We've been looking for sort of,
Absolutely.
looking outside of the Black Mask, looking outside of the House of Slaughter. What else is going on? We know that there's more out there, more of these houses out there. I mean, even House of Slaughter, for sort of a narrow story that was being told, we did know were introduced to other houses that were in the whole organization. So we know that there's a lot of these. We just, it'll take time to be introduced to more of them. But yeah, still, I want to see the green masks. I still
The
want to see the
dragons.
dragon.
Yes, absolutely.
So, but I feel it's a solid issue as always. It's for this series to give me something disappointing. I don't think it's going to be disappointing. I think it's like, okay, every issue is like a 7 or an 8, and so when I get a 6, which is still
Yeah,
above average,
that'll be disappointing. It's like,
that'll be the
oh, really?
disappointing issue. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. So it is one of those things. Unless just for whatever reason, Tinian just tanks it for whatever reason, which I don't see
Mm,
happen.
yeah, that's it's going to
Yeah,
be
maybe
hard
the
to
last
predict.
issue. Like, I'm
Yeah,
just phoning it in, folks. I'm
that's
done.
where you end it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is. I have tortured children. I have done all of this. My psyche can't handle it anymore.
I
So
was trying to explain this issue to Terry, and she was having none of it.
yeah,
She had too many whys, and I'm like,
yep.
they
I
haven't.
don't know yet.
Why
Yeah,
that? I don't know.
yeah.
So
So yeah, definitely interesting. So I know some of y'all are holding out and reading this in the trades.
boo,
So
boo.
I can't
Mm.
understand why you would.
Yeah,
Um,
I couldn't wait. I
I
have to
couldn't
have it
wait.
as
Yeah,
soon as I can get it. That's
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, this was read. I picked it up Wednesday, got home, ate dinner, and immediately read it. It was
Yep.
just, it's all, anytime this issue comes or this series comes out, it's definitely at the top of the list. So, all righty, that's it for, I guess, all the new books. So, oh, I know what we
Ret-
were going to talk about.
retro.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the retro book coming up.
Yep.
So what are we doing? Because
Well,
you were going to hunt down and try and find a book that both of us had not
and
read from the archives.
and here's what I came up with. One of them maybe you have read. I remember seeing it, but I haven't read it. One of my ideas was Spira from Archaea.
Yeah.
One of them was Dingo, uh, which is 4-issue series from Boom Proper,
Hmm.
and the other was CBGB, a 4-issue series from Boomtown.
Do they refer to it as being
Uh,
published from Boomtown?
yeah, that's the imprint. It
Nice.
came out from the Boomtown imprint. which
Nice.
was around long enough to have like 6 or 8 books, and that was it.
Maybe,
There
yeah.
wasn't very many. Yeah. So
So the
those are my
CBGB
ideas.
is the club CBGB.
Right.
That it's
Yeah, that's an
or yeah,
anthology book.
yeah. Okay. Uh, well, I know Spera. I know I own one or two volumes of. If you're not aware of what Spera is, it's not single issues. It's a hardcover. It's a
Mhm.
original graphic novel. And there's been two, three,
3.
four volumes, three
3 that
volumes.
I could find, yeah.
Okay, so I guess you're suggesting that we would just cover like volume one.
Yeah, I think
Okay. Which,
that would be full enough. And
okay.
Spira is kind of a, a fantasy, swords
Yeah.
and sorcery kind of
Yeah.
storyline.
It'd be a little different from what we've talked about before.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much
Dingo
everything.
is kind of has a supernatural
Hmm.
horror, not really horror, but it's sort of a supernatural-esque kind of book. I remember reading it. I don't remember anything about it. I just know
Yeah,
it was like
it's
a
a
dude and his dog kind of
right.
thing.
Yeah, it's a lone dude. And interesting that you say a dog. There's a spirit that manifests as a fire wolf or a fire fox as one of the main characters in Spira.
Hmm.
It's on
I
on
am
the
leaning
cover
towards
of the first one.
Spera.
Okay,
And I
the first
say
volume
that
of it.
only because we haven't done an original graphic novel. We've done whole miniseries, obviously.
Mm.
Um, and I think with an anthology, it's it's not really telling a complete story. It'd be fun to go back and read that eventually. So I may still go back and pick up because I don't know if I ever bought those issues originally.
No,
So, but
I
it
don't
might be
have any of
interesting
it.
just to go back just on my own to go back and reread those. And Dingo as well, because that's like 2010,
It,
2009 ish.
we're
It's long. It's
dipping in
very
the
early.
archives. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, but Sparrow, we haven't done original graphic novel, and we definitely haven't done something that's straight up sort of fantasy adventure kind of thing.
Okay,
So, and I don't remember anything about that book other than just vaguely the cover art.
right.
So yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
That'd be fun.
Spira Volume 1 it is with uh, our recommendation for folks out there to get the second and third volume also. eBay is where you'll have to go to get that. Our favored Lone Star Comics, My
Oh yeah.
Comic Shop, they don't have it. They don't have
Okay.
any of the volumes.
Does
So eBay
Amazon
is
or maybe a
Amazon
local
does
bookshop?
for full price.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to
yeah.
do 20 to 25 bucks a book, I think you can get them on Amazon.
Okay.
But I
Yeah,
know
I'll have
that
to
you
go look down at my storage and see if that's what I have. I just remember I've owned one or two volumes of it in the past, and I just can't remember
right.
which one. Yeah. So,
Um, when do you want to try to talk about it, do you think? Next week
well,
is out.
yeah, next week's out. We'll explain that here in a second. We talked about it last episode, but just sort of as a reminder for everybody. Um, let's shoot for, let's
You want to do
see,
18 or 25th?
let's do, I think we said the 25th was going to be sort of a light week for us, maybe.
I,
Was the 18th
I
or the 25th? One of those two. Let's do the 25th because I
okay.
think the 18th the 11th is going to be kind of loaded, and
Yeah.
then 18th we may be sort of still catching up. Or excuse me, not 18th, 19th and 26th. 18th and
Uh,
25th are
or Wednesdays.
Wednesdays.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When they come out. Yeah. 19 and
So
26. So this will be the 25th.
hey, my week revolves around Wednesday too.
Yeah.
That's my first day of the week. So
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday are the only days in the week, as far as I'm concerned. So for
so yeah,
completely different reasons, but yeah.
let's shoot for the 26th then.
Okay.
That'll be
Spira Volume
safe
1
bet.
on May 26th, for those of you still in the chat room.
Yep.
And those of you that are going to listen to the podcast, that's our next retro review.
Yep. So next week we won't have a live show at all. We won't have live show on YouTube or obviously a live podcast, an updated podcast.
A live
Reason
podcast.
for that is that live podcast, other than the dead ones, and I've done a few dead ones. That I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be out on vacation. I'm picking up my daughter from college, so call that vacation if you will. I'm
I'm
traveling a
waiting.
lot.
I'm waiting to see. I'm sure that the pictures that your wife posts will definitely make it look like a vacation.
It
Yeah,
will for sure.
it's
Yes,
going to be tough. Yeah.
there will
Okay.
be there's it's going to be we're going to
Some
be in and out in about 48 hours or so.
some
Um,
poolside pics, potentially restaurant pics. Yeah,
Oh, there'll
it's
definitely
going
be a
to look rough.
restaurant. There's gonna be some. It's gonna. We have some of our favorites. My daughter's found a new favorite place that she wants us to go to. So
Okay.
we were gonna go down there. Like she moves out on Friday, so the plan originally was we were gonna go down there Friday morning, drive down, stay obviously overnight, pick her up, move her stuff out by noon on Friday, and then literally turn around and drive home.
Mm.
Um, we live in North Carolina. She's in Florida, so it's a 10-ish hour drive, depending on if my wife or I are driving. It could be 6 hours if my wife's driving.
If
Yeah, time travels very differently when we change driver seats.
depending on who drives,
Yeah,
it affects time.
it's like
Okay.
there was a cop there. We're in a different state now. Don't worry about it now. So but we decided if we enjoy town that she's in, so we want to make sure that we've got hangouts and little places we
Right.
like to
Yeah.
go to. So we're gonna
Avail yourself.
extend it an extra day, and but still it'll be a quick turnaround. But yeah, we're gonna hang out with some of her friends, take them out to lunch or dinner because they do stuff for her while because my daughter doesn't drive on purpose, and so she has friends who help her out and whatnot when she's got to get to Target or something like that. But
Ah, yes.
where she lives is pretty much everything's kind of in that area, walkable area, so she's good to go. But yeah, so no live episode. Ed had a great suggestion, putting one of our classic episodes in the feed, interviews. One of our interviews from days past. Hadn't 100% decided which one, but I'm definitely going to put one in there. I'm leaning toward the Scott Newman episode because one thing that we had a lot of questions about back then was what exactly does a designer do for a book? And Scott, as well as pretty much the entire Boom design staff,
We
was in the background.
we found out
So
once the interview started. Yeah.
they're on speakerphone apparently, or
I
something to
re-
that effect.
I remember
I'm gonna
that
have
we
to
were
go
like,
back and
oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that episode prior to posting it just to make sure I know what's going on. I don't want to get some random email be like, "What the frick was that about?" They're like, okay, let me. So yeah, I'm gonna probably listen to that over the weekend. But yeah, so you'll get a classic episode of the show on Friday to check out. So be sure to listen to that and let us know what you think of that one. Um, we're leaning toward doing some interviews, and so we'll see if we actually make
Yeah.
the step and do it. I keep saying it, but then I never reach out to anybody. I'm like, I don't have time to right
That's
now. I
that's not true. You've reached out twice to different people, maybe
well,
even
true,
three
yeah.
times to different people.
Well, true.
And
So, but either way, so that's that. That's us, and that's how we're gonna do it next week. And then when we come back, we'll try and because there's quite a few books that are coming out next week that we definitely do want to talk about.
mhm.
So we'll kind of double up on the 11th and try to include books from both weeks. So that'll be a busy time for sure. So anything else in your notes that we need to
I
cover?
I think we covered it all.
Cool. All right. So you can come by the website, boomaddiction.com or comicaddiction.net, same site, different doors. So check that out. All the episodes from this particular season are posted there. So there you go with that. No comments beyond that. You can email us at boomaddiction, much like Stephen did. You can email us at boomaddiction@gmail.com. you can send us a written email, or he has sent us an audio. An audio file, an MP3, if you will, attached to an email. So we'll, if I can get that to play on the next episode, I will test that out in between times for the 11th, or the episode that we record, excuse me, on the 12th. I keep looking at Wednesdays. On the 12th, which is Thursday, and then we'll play it on the show. If not, I'll figure out something. Don't worry. Don't
Well, at
worry.
the
We'll
very
play
least,
it.
it'll be in the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. So there's that. You can do that. You can come by our Facebook group, Facebook at fans at of Boom Studios on Facebook. So get on Facebook, search for Fans of Boom Studio, or there's a link in the show notes. So you can do that. Ed does a good job finding all the links and all the articles and all the things about Boom Studios. There's not been a ton of like other stuff other than like, hey, this new book's coming out in previews.
Yeah, not
You know,
not lately.
yeah. So there's not a lot of that. So we definitely would like to see some folks chatting it up about something Boom related if you'd like to, and we'll go from there. You can obviously come by the YouTube channel and check us out there. Links are in the show notes as far as the podcast. If you're already watching us on YouTube right now, please be sure to subscribe so that you can get the reminder. We post that on Thursdays, sometime after lunch, so that you know that we're actually doing the show. You'll have the link for it. You'll be ready to go, and you'll get notified when we go live. So be sure to do that. I think the hip thing to say is subscribe and click the bell so you get notification or something along those lines. So
Something like that.
either way. So do those things. If you're a YouTube watcher, you know what to do. You can definitely listen to us on all the podcast platforms because Libsyn does a great job of getting us out there in front of everybody. So if you've got some kind of podcast reader that reads the feed and the whatnot, I almost said algorithm for some reason, that reads the feed,
That's
then
YouTube
I'm
that
thinking
uses
YouTube
algorithms.
still. I was trying to get past that.
RSS
Then
feed.
yes, you can listen to us. Lots of you do. We appreciate that. We'd love to have more. So be sure to go out and tell your friends, your comic shop runners, owners, and whatnots about us. That would be awesome. Uh, you know, I think the best thing is, yeah, I was describing this to somebody at the comic shop the other day, that it's not that you want to listen to us because how cool Ed and I are, because we're just some regular Joes. But if you're curious about Boom Studio Comics and you're just not sure what to read, if what would be your kind of thing, we talk about a majority of the books when they come out. There are some that we miss from time to time, and that's just the way it works, timing and everything.
Well, but even the ones that we don't really talk about, most people are going to know about. Power
Sure,
Rangers. That's
sure.
uh, Angel, Buffy,
Mhm.
potentially Firefly in the past. We haven't talked about it. So those are big, major franchises.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what those are coming in. You know.
Yeah. But what we try to do is highlight all of the other non-licensed books and stuff like that. So if you're curious about something, or someone is curious about a Boom book, just say, hey, look, Boom Addiction, they cover these things. Our show notes tells you everything that we talk about in the episode as far as books go. You can easily get in there and check it out. And I think that's a good way of recommending folks to us. It's not just,
Finding a
hey,
new
you
book.
really need to listen to these guys. No, hey, if you like what we do, awesome. We try and have a good time on here, and hopefully include all of y'all, as we do stuff. But at the same time, it's more about us trying to get the word out about these books and stuff like that. And obviously, not every book we're going to enjoy, and we'll definitely let you know that. We have no fear of that, Ed, in your killer comments. So
Yeah.
it's just what it is, man.
I
But it's fine.
yeah. I mean, I trashed it a little bit, but I didn't like just trash
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know,
And
I
it's
know.
like
You're fair.
uh,
That's
it's
the thing.
it's not my thing. Okay,
That's what I
that's
appreciate. It's fair, and that's the thing. We don't trash things. The harshest thing you'll hear us say is that it just didn't jive with us. It's just not our cup of tea right now.
nope.
it's like we both appreciate the work that's put in this stuff. So if you're looking for a way to recommend us, and that's the easiest thing. If you just know someone who's curious about some Boom Studios books, don't just send them to somewhere and go, hey, look at the previews and maybe you'll like it. Send them our way and let us know, and we'll, especially if there's something specific, they got questions, email us and we'll do our best to answer those questions.
Definitely.
Or
if you don't want to email us, you can tweet us.
That's where I was getting ready to go. You can tweet us, get to us on Twitter. Boom Addiction is the Twitter handle for the show. Ed is at Teal Productions, and then I'm at Chris Barton. You can tweet us, you can follow us, you can DM us. My DMs are literally open for everybody. I made it that way because I had somebody who wasn't following me who wanted to ask me some questions. I was like, you don't have to follow me to ask questions. I don't like forcing people to follow me. If you just had a question and you want to go about your way, the DMs are open. Send them to us.
I'll have to check and see if mine's like that. I think it is, but I don't know for sure.
I did that years ago. It was just a situation that popped up and they were like, oh, I was trying to send you a message and I couldn't send it, and I didn't want to tweet it to you. And I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, no problem. So, but yeah, that's Twitter's usually the easiest way. Even if I'm busy during the day, I tend to, when I do sort of like I need to take a second, Twitter's usually where I go, and so I will definitely see it there. So I will not ignore you, I promise, even if it's several hours later and you remind me that you like Ed did. Hey, I asked you something. Did you not? Oh, I totally missed it.
So, he'll get to it. He'll get to it.
He'll get to it. I do it. So let's see. Anything else? I think that was it.
I think that's the contacts.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, cool. Get up with us. We enjoy it. We enjoy conversing. All right. So we talked about next episode. So we will not be back next episode. We will have a classic episode up. So hopefully you'll check that out. 2 weeks. We'll be back on the 12th live here on YouTube. So hopefully you will join us. We will send out the reminder so you'll know. So be sure to follow one of us, all of us, or at least subscribe. I don't know. One of those things. I hate trying to make people do stuff. We just appreciate you. So that's it. 37 in the can. Ed, thank you as always for joining me.
Yes, sir.
We will catch all of you in 2 weeks. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Chris, would you like to ramble some more? Why, yes, I would. Do you have anything you would talk? No, I don't want you to talk about anything. Just say a bunch of words in a row, and we'll see what happens. So that's how I feel when I. All right, everybody who is, all of you who've joined us, who've been with us the entire time, or just a little bit here in the chat, we appreciate you guys sticking with us. I know Steven probably bugged out earlier to edit some of his stuff. Doug, if you're still with us, appreciate you hanging out with us. Hyper Potato, as always, thanks for hanging out with us. We're glad to have you among the many who are the few that are catching us out regularly. Any of you who are lurking, you're cool. Don't worry about it. Lurking is a good thing. We appreciate you just hanging out with us. And I'm in the broadcast. So y'all have a good one. Goodbye.